Good morning, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Hear me, see me? Good morning. All right, can see you and hear me. Cool. After doing this every day last week, it feels like it's been a long time since I got on here now. Good morning, everybody. For those of you on Instagram, I'm live on YouTube and I'm sharing my screen on there. So if you would like to see my screen and stay on the live stream this morning into the trading session, then I recommend joining on YouTube. Just get my screens up here. How's everybody doing? Everybody have a good weekend? Good morning. Yeah, good weekend. I don't know if you can see on the stream, but I got a nice raccoon tan sunburn, I should say. It's out on the boat this weekend. Give it one more minute to let people join, get my stuff ready here, and then we'll start jumping into the analysis. It's not a ton different today. I only took one trade yesterday. I took a 2-point loss, just a tiny little paper cut, and then I just didn't find anything else that I wanted to trade yesterday. I just stayed out of it. Just didn't like the conditions. I missed the long in the morning. It just shot straight up, and then it was just a very choppy grind all day yesterday, and I just stayed out of it. Why I haven't sized up more? I'm just trading where I'm comfortable at. I've sized up too much in the past. Just trading with a size that I'm comfortable with. Right now 2 to 4 ES contracts for the most part, which is pretty dang good size. And I would say 90% of the people you see posting crap online trading insane numbers is probably fake. But I'm comfortable with 2 to 4 contracts, and I'm gradually scaling on a monthly basis. But I'm able to generate pretty good returns just from it's really based on like my risk per trade and per day, you know what I mean? So right now I'm risking like $500 to $600 per trade, which is a pretty good amount of money for somebody that's scalping and taking frequent trades. During the live streams last week, I was really sized down just to make it less of a distraction for me. So I was just trading like 1 to 2 contracts, risking just $200 to $300, and that was just to help keep emotions out of it because I was new to live streaming every day. So yeah, very good point, Ishan. I hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. The volume and volatility has just been super dead after around 10:30 a.m. We've had some nice moves, and then just the afternoons have been a grind, and especially true today. I am not looking to stick around today because we have the FOMC rate decision tomorrow. And so with that being said, we'll just jump into it because that's a great segue into it. We have some high impact news tomorrow, the FOMC rate decision. So we'll look to see if there's some decent volatility this morning. Somebody said they overtraded a lot yesterday. Yeah, that can happen, especially when the market goes choppy and you just keep waiting for it to break out of it and you try to catch it and it just keeps chopping you out, chopping you out. That's a bad way to take a lot of losses on a choppy day, and it's best to just walk away. So that's what I did yesterday. I just stayed out of it, walked away, come back another day when there's better trading setups. So anyway, we've seen over the past few weeks, really, we've had good volatility in the morning, and then it's really died out in the mid-afternoon. So I'm probably sticking around till the first hour this morning and then calling it a day, regardless of if I find a setup or not. Hopefully we can find a nice setup, take a nice little winning trade early and be done. But I expect the later it gets in the afternoon, that volatility will die out more. It could come in suddenly, like based on news, because there's a lot of geopolitical stuff going on with the war, Russia and Ukraine, Iran and Israel now. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And depending on if the US gets involved or whatever, the markets could react a lot more strongly to that. So there could be very sudden and crazy volatility that comes in, but that doesn't mean it's going to be super tradable with a good risk reward repeatable setup. So it may just be something that we miss or I miss. And but if we can find a good setup based on the things that I like to trade this morning, I will be looking to trade it, but I will not be looking to stick around into the afternoon. I'd rather just come back tomorrow, and then same thing tomorrow morning. We'll see if any really good setups present themselves, but it's kind of a weird situation this week because and I expected, I kind of expected this, but one, we have this geopolitical news going on. Two, for the S&P futures, it's contract rollover week this week. We're rolling over to the September contract, which I've been asked by many people. Yes, I am trading the September contract now as of yesterday. I typically switch over once open interest and volume is higher on the forward contract. It was still lower yesterday slightly, but I went ahead and started trading the new contract yesterday just to start the week with new levels and everything on the new contract. So then on top of that being contract rollover, we also have FOMC rate decision, and then the market's on a holiday the day right after the rate decision. So we have the rate decision tomorrow, and then Thursday's a holiday, and then and then we have Friday. So it's a shortened trading week too, which with a kind of like a midweek holiday. It's just a weird kind of funky week. So definitely a week to stay cash and just be cautious and defensive. So last week I had a nice profitable week, not too crazy big, but it was a nice week. And this week, just based on all of that stuff, I'm very much looking to just find any A plus setups in the morning and walk away and not really try to do too much in the current conditions and the current context of everything going on in the market. So we'll jump into it. Looking at the weekly time frame here on the charts. And by the way, just one more time before I jump into this, on Instagram, if you guys join the YouTube live stream link is in the link in my story, and also the link to my YouTube page is on Instagram. So if you want, on my bio, so if you want to see my screens and everything as I talk through this, I recommend joining on the YouTube stream. All right, so just jumping into this here. Looking at the weekly time frame, which is what I always start out with. And also, by the way, this is the ES continuous chart. So continuous contract changes. It's now showing the pricing for the September contract. And also in my settings, I have turned on adjust for contract changes. And what that does is it adjusts the price difference on the previous contract. So I just see it relatively equal to what the current contract is trading on. So just for your awareness, if your charts look different, it could be because you don't have the same settings for viewing the continuous ES contract and adjusting prior prices for the new contract price. which there has been a gap up the last couple years on contract rollovers. So same thing I've been talking about really. I'll just kind of mark this stuff out a little bit for you guys. It's kind of like the blank charts that I use, but we have this channel that we've been in. I've been talking about it all week. Last week, we're going on like a whole month now, really since the middle of May, just kind of grinding higher in this channel, working our way closer and closer towards prior all-time highs. We have this prior supply area, you could call it, just up here at the all-time highs, where we kind of consolidated, triple topped, and then rejected much lower on the tariff news earlier this year. So we've kind of been sandwiched between the market's been grinding higher, and we're also resisting from sellers this area. But so far, we just continue, even with the war news and everything. Buyers have been so resilient, and we just continue grinding higher, grinding higher. Any pullbacks have just made higher lows. Just kind of a crazy, interesting situation. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Actually, I can mark this a little bit better on the daily chart. You can see here the selling that kind of broke down prior consolidation there. Looking at the daily chart, this is that supply area that I'm talking about up here. We've kind of really cleared out all the selling, and now we're really testing these sellers that initiated that large drop down on the tariff news. So call that a supply zone. We can call that sellers. We just got to watch out for this area. And you can see we tested it once, tested it twice again now, possibly double topped in there. We'll see. So far, though, every pullback has gotten bought, and we just keep grinding higher. So I'm going to get this off my charts because I don't like how messy that looks. Don't really need it there. But on the same time, like I said, we've just been, let me clean up these levels a little bit from the, I marked those on the weekly. At the same time, we've been grinding up in this channel. We've been grinding higher in this channel, and this is like the second real major attempt to break out of it. And yes, we did like kind of gap higher on the contract change, but this is the second strong push. Look, yesterday's daily close up at the highs to get out of this channel and break out to the upside. Again, that failed and rejected back in. However, we're still kind of holding relatively close to the midpoint of the day yesterday. 50% being around 60-47, 60-50. So that's probably an important area to watch to see if we can hold and finally really kind of show some strength on the breakout of this channel. If not, we could move lower back to the low of this channel again. We could mark it there. There's a couple different places that we could mark it. We could mark it from this gap up to these lows here. But just this general area, I would say on the lows that you can clearly see as we've made higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. So if buyers cannot sustain up here, I would say in this upper portion, there's a good chance we could reject back and test the lows of this channel. Drop down again to the 6-hour time frame here. All right, so you can clearly see even more clearly here now on the 6-hour where these sellers were that initiated this drop lower, all the way from there to there, really. Call this a large like supply area. Maybe we can move it to the top of this area there, where it was retested and broke down. So again, we can see that kind of major supply area that initiated that drop down. We tested it once, tested it twice now. Both times have rejected, but also made higher lows. I think this drop here was from the initial Iran and Israel war news broke out, that drop there. But again, we hit the lows of that channel and bounced straight back up and broke out the highs again. So despite the war news, despite everything going on, bulls have been extremely resilient and just continue grinding higher in this channel, putting in higher lows. Now we're really for the second time trying to break out of this pretty aggressively. And another thing that I want to point out here, stretch this out so we can see it a little more clearly. Aside from this channel, we can kind of clearly see this spot here where there's a whole bunch of prior highs where we rejected at the top of this channel. And we're now above that, and I'm kind of loosely watching this area. Hang on, let me try to draw this better. This is another area that I'm kind of loosely watching to see if it gets supported from buyers, which we kind of are already here in the pre-market. But you can see this was like a head and shoulders. I think I talked about this last week. We formed this head and shoulders on the failed breakout above that trend line at the top of the channel and once we put in that head and shoulders and rejected right there to the tick at the top of that channel, boom, rejected all the way back down to the lows of that channel. So now another V-shaped bounce, extremely aggressive bounce from bulls all the way back above the top of the channel. And now I'm kind of watching this area. Let me see if I can mark something a little bit more clean here. Maybe we'll see on the lower time frames, but really right around here. And what do you know, coincidentally, right around that 60-50, which I said was about the 50% of yesterday's range on that rally. So 3 reasons why this is a key area. 1, this head and shoulders and prior resistance level now possibly turned support around 60-50. Also, right around 60-50 was the 50% of this large move yesterday, this large rally. And also, third thing is it's right around this channel high, this trend line, which is the high of the channel. So 3 like technical analysis pieces of information on why this is a key area to watch to see if it's supported from buyers. And if it is, then we could see continued strength, continued rally back to the highs. And on the flip side, I think if we reject below this and sellers defend pops back into this and we fail to rally back above that, then we could be seeing a short scenario where we go back and test 6,000 right here and prior day lows to the low of this channel. So if we reject that, we could come back here and test one of these lows, which would also coincide, if we drop really strongly, could also coincide with around the low of that channel. Do I think all of that could happen today? Maybe, but probably not, but maybe only if some crazy news came out. But I'm just saying, really for this week, is kind of the structure that I'm looking at right now. So going into tomorrow, I don't know if I'll continue to do live streams every day this week. Like I said, tomorrow's FOMC, then we have a holiday, then Friday. So it's just kind of a weird week anyway. I'm not going to probably be super active trading. But just for my analysis from today, kind of for the rest of the week, is this is what I'm watching. We broke out a second major time from the top of this channel now, and we have 3 confluences of why this area around 60-50 is key. So that's kind of a pivotal point for me. If we can hold above this, and then I'll look for buyers to defend that and then target a rally back into one of these overnight swing highs or prior date highs. All right, let's drop through a little more quickly now. looking at the 4-hour, and can really see again here on the 4-hour. Look how many times we tried to drop down here. 1, 2, 3, 4 times on the 4-hour chart, and there's nothing but wicks under this. So that tells me, by just looking at the higher time frame, the 4-hour, I don't need to see anything else but to tell me that buyers were obviously absorbing and buying this drop and holding above that 60-50 key area. Really, this whole area between this trend line and this 60-50, plus or minus. Obviously, we dropped a little bit lower than that, but that's fine. I don't look at key levels and stuff to hold to the tick. It's just a general area where I'm going to watch price action and order flow around intraday. So clearly we can see a lot of selling all afternoon yesterday and all night last night, really trying to break this thing lower and continuously getting absorbed here. Could not even bring it back really into the lows that traded overnight yesterday after the Sunday night open. And really nothing but wicks here above this. So as long as buyers hold above these levels, I'm going to be watching this to be a buyer here and target these overnight highs and then prior day highs. Drop down to the 1-hour time frame here. Can see things even more clearly. Kind of a nice double bottom here actually, and then moving higher. So we sold off pretty aggressively, bounced, sold off again, bounced, third time tried, bounced, and we have a nice double bottom here around 60.45, which also is just above this rally, base rally that formed yesterday overnight. So another reason why this key area is key, just looking at this here, we had a rally, right, base right at around prior day highs, and then rally again that broke above that, and now it's acting as support now that we're retesting this again. So kind of break and retest support area. So really that's the game plan for the day today. As long as buyers continue to defend in here, I'll be looking for setups, ways to get long, targeting probably these highs first around 60.76, 60.75. We'll call it right here, 60.70 to 75. If we pull back a little bit more again, and I see buyers defend this again, possibly looking to long that, targeting the 60.70s. If we break out above that pretty strongly, then I would target above 60.90 into 6100. On the flip side, I really want to see if sellers break this down and then pops reject up here. I'll probably be looking for ways to get short, just targeting a quick drop down into 60.20 to 6,000. Right? The origin of this rally here. I would probably not get too greedy for a crazy drop lower, just because we've continued to make higher lows. Every sharp pullback has failed to get continuation lower. So if I did trade a setup like that, I would probably be looking to just take a quick scalp short on a quick drop into this demand area. Excuse me. So that's really the game plan. Market's about to open. Just looking at a 15-minute here, really the same thing. Not too much different to talk about. Pull up my intraday levels here. I got this double bottom marked here. I didn't mark this low, but let me mark this key area around 60.50. Just mark it there. Just call this a key level. I already know what it is, but just marking it there around that, approximately, roughly around that 60.50 is a key area. Again, as long as we see buyer support above here, I'll be looking for ways to take it long and target these highs. If sellers are able to break down this aggressively, then I'll possibly be looking for shorts. Now, if we just rally up here and we break above here, probably not going to be looking to chase it, and I'm probably not looking to fade it. So I'm not really probably trying to catch a top reversal. There's so much bearish news right now, and with the war and tariffs and everything, there's not really a whole lot of positive news that I've seen. And yet the market continues to be super resilient and move higher. So to me, when it doesn't make sense and it seems like there should be more weakness based on the geopolitical risks and uncertainty right now, and yet the market continues to stay strong and resilient, and buyers are continuing to buy this thing high. I'm not looking to fade that. Somebody asked, do I mean, when I say buyers or sellers appear, do I mean passive, aggressive, or both? Definitely both. I typically look for absorption first, and then from passive participants, and then start to look for aggressive participants showing up after that. But depends on the situation, depends on the setup. But so far, we're just kind of in the middle of this range right here, right around hugging this trend line. So we need to be careful right here in the middle. If buyers are strong above this high, above 60.75, I may look for a way to take it long on like a break and retest above there, similar to yesterday morning, except for there was no break and retest. It just shot all the way up. Really, I didn't find any opportunities here to get long because I wasn't just going to chase it with, where's my risk? It just shot straight up, hit this key level I have marked at 6109, and then just grinded down lower in this channel all afternoon. So it was a very untradeable day yesterday, in my opinion, at least for how I trade. Really did not find any good setups. Unless you got in right here before this rally started, or you were able to catch it short right here at the top and then just hold for a slow grind move without getting chopped out. There really wasn't much yesterday to trade. All right, I'm going to end the stream on Instagram. I'll stick around on YouTube, and we'll watch the order flow together. I'll throw up Bookmap in just a minute. So market's opening. I'm going to drop this down to what I'm watching intraday. I'm not looking to jump in here in this first minute. So this thing's just shooting up right off the open again, much like yesterday. So we already hit, unfortunately, we went and hit my targets. I was hoping to see the opposite and see a drop here continue. We had this kind of nice pre-market drop. I was hoping to see this continue down and hit some demand to take it long. And now we already shot up and hit that 60/70s target right off the open. So that setup looks less high quality now to me because we've already gone and taken out those pre-market highs into the 60/70s. Yeah, it's just one of those things, man. Somebody said every day now we just shoot straight up and right off the open. Yeah, I mean, it just goes through times like this. It's annoying, but I've gone through so many cycles like this where I've seen this so many times. We get nice trending moves overnight or in the pre-market, and then it just goes sideways and choppy during regular trading hours. And then other times we have these nice quick, like yesterday we had a nice quick move right off the open and then just sideways chop all day. I stuck around for the majority of the day yesterday just trying to wait for a setup to develop, and just nothing ever developed. It never got out of that. It just chopped. I took a couple breaks, but really I had the charts open and kept checking back all day until the close. was very draining, and I just did not find any good setups and just didn't take another trade all day. So proud of myself for being able to endure that and not lose my cool and not take any dumb trades, but also very draining to watch that all day, trying to wait for a setup and for some volatility to increase, and it just never happened. It just was a sideways grind all the way into the close. So we're really, like I said, in the middle right here at the moment. And we've really been trading up and down in this range all night. Aside, like when the market opened last night, we had a nice little drop back to 60.50. And since then, we've just been up and down with a decent range, albeit, between like 60.75 and 60.45. So a 30-point range, which is a decent size range. But you definitely want to be careful initiating positions right here in the middle of this range, which just zooming out, right in the middle of the range. So want to be cautious initiating positions in the middle here. Large bit of selling coming in here, looking like absorption so far right now. You can see this just popped up. Almost 600 lots, 597 lots, popped up at 60.66. Would look nice, possible long setup there, except for the fact that we already kind of swept and took out the 60.70s, and we're right in the middle of the range here. Let's see, as far as news today, there's not much else today. Some minor news in the 5-year chips auction at 1 p.m. Eastern. So since yesterday's close, just looking at the charts here, we dropped from 60.94-ish overnight and made a low around 60.45. So we had overall about a 50-point drop overnight, which is, a pretty decent overnight drop. Double bottomed around that key level, 60.45, 60.50, and rallied back. But here in the 60.60s, we are right in the middle of that overnight range. I was hoping that little pre-market drop was going to continue a bit, and we were going to kind of come back down to the low into that demand area and key level around 60.50. And it rallied off the open, kind of took out what would have been my first target around 60.70s, and now rejecting back a bit. So just overall structure not really setting up ideally. If something that I'm looking to target with a long or a short already hits and rejects before the area that I was looking to enter to target that, then it's not as high quality to me. Might be one of those mornings where we had better momentum and volatility in the pre-market, and then it's just gonna go in flat and sideways here after the regular trading hours start. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, this week is a little off. We have holiday on Thursday. Tomorrow, so starting tomorrow, we have FOMC rate decision. Thursday's a holiday, and then Friday we have, the contract expiration for the June contract of the futures. So kind of multiple consecutive odd things coming up. Not odd, but just reasons to be kind of cautious with this and see how this sets up and develops. So large buying hitting here around 60.67 and 60.69, actually 60.70. Let's see if this is successful up here or if this rejects lower. We saw some large selling down here. It went a little bit lower. It did not really even take out these 60.60s right here. And then bouncing back higher, and we're starting to see some large aggressive buying step in. The question, I guess, is just, does this large aggressive buying get continuation and continue moving higher above these pre-market highs? Or do passive sellers step in and reject it lower? How do you get the price printing on the large orders on Bookmap? That is the absorption indicator on Bookmap. Some sharp selling coming in here, quick drop back. Saw this large buying, aggressive buying up here get absorbed and lacked continuation. So this is what I was saying to watch. If buying continues to hold right here and drives price higher, or if it rejects it. So far it's rejecting with some pretty sharp selling here. So watch out for that. And this is very indicative of just middle of the range price action. I mean, nothing too significant. Sharp move up, sharp move down. Just want to be careful here. Got to know when it's worth putting on risk and when it's worth sitting out and waiting for a high quality setup, even if that means taking no trades in a day. You have to be clear minded and equally okay with any outcome. Win, loss, no trades, equally accepting of any outcome. I'm just watching for the setups that I like to trade. And when they happen, I'll take the risk. If they don't, I'll do nothing. Any questions on anything this morning? See in the chat if I missed anything. Let me know while we're kind of just watching this here. Nothing too significant for me right at the moment at the current location. So just kind of letting this opening range develop here. First 15 minutes or so, just kind of up and down right here in this area. Where is the absorption indicator located? If you look up here under add-ons, configure add-ons, what this button is. It's not showing it on my screen, but it pops up there. That's where all the add-ons that you can add are under it's under there, the absorption indicator. If it's, you might have to install it. It's not already. And I'm not sure, that might be a add-on that requires Global Plus. I'm not sure. I do have the Global Plus subscription on Bookmap because it includes the DOM Pro, which I do use. Yes, Alejandro asked, so if this action was at a key level and we were looking, and if I was looking for a top reversal, then if this was at a key level and I was looking for a top reversal, I would look for absorption like this and selling like this, and then a retest into this to take it short. It's not something I'm really looking for here though, because it's just not a super key level to me, and we're just kind of right in the middle of a range. And so it's less high quality. But that is kind of what I would look for a short setup, yes. Do I pay for any other data services? I pay for data for Bookmap. And then I have Sierra chart with a footprint chart, and I pay a small bit for data on there as well. I pay for rhythmic data on Map and the Denali data on Sierra chart. It is annoying paying for data twice, but they do come from different places. And there has been times in the past where like rhythmic data is down, but I'm still able to see price and stuff because, you know, my Denali data or other data is up. Which Sierra chart package do you use? Good question. Hold up. I don't want to guess, so I'll just pull it up really quick and tell you. Where is it? I have service package 11, integrated advanced. Service package 11 and on Sierra chart because it's required. I think it's called like number bars or something for the footprint chart that I use. Yeah, Hungry Hunter is correct. It's service package 11. I don't know what it is monthly. I think I pay for it for like a year at a time. I just one payment, just pay for a year at a time. So we're coming back up here again around these 67s. So like if this was an area that I was watching to short, if this was a key level, which, you know, maybe this turns into a key level, we see this developing here, but we did kind of double top and put a good amount of absorption here, but you see this double top, tested it again, these offers filled, but I would say that whole area is something that I'd be watching for. Which we did just get a retest. Trying to see a color that will stand out here. So you can see right where I just marked this box is like where we saw this absorption and then selling reject. If this was at a key level in the middle of the range, that's probably an area that I'd be watching for retest to short, which is kind of what we just got right here. We'll see if this gets back lower now. And again, I mean, something like that can work, but I just caution against over analyzing into order flow stuff like that too much when it's not at a key level and kind of in the middle of a range. That can definitely trip you up and make you take a lot of unnecessary small losses. It can work sometimes, and it is important to kind of develop new key levels like this. And this is maybe something to watch because it is at an area of interest in the sense that it was a pre-market highs right here around 70, 71. And we swept above that, failed, and rejected lower. So that is actually kind of an interesting area. That wasn't a setup that I was watching for initially based on my pre-market plan, but that is looking like a setup that developed. But two things, it's in the middle of the range and the higher time frame trend continues to be up. So I don't really want to be taking shorts against the higher time frame trend in the middle of the range. Just not the greatest to me. It might work this time, but I try to avoid things that it's like just this one time thing. It's not what I want to look at for a setup regularly. And so I just don't even like to get in the habit of doing things that are outside the system in the way that I like to trade. Avoid that just this one time, take this trade, this setup. What would you want to see here exactly? If it was a key level, buyers getting weaker, smaller, sellers being aggressive, more absorption. Yeah, all of those things. All of those things. And this is why I don't like getting involved. See here, that would have probably been my stop loss here in the middle of the range. If this was at a better key area, sure. but clearly we see we did have that confirmation of absorption, aggressive selling, weaker buying, take it short here, but it's in the middle of the range. It lacked continuation and then just swept higher again. I'm going to remove this now. What to watch for on the Dom Pro. I just like it's the same information really as that I can see on my footprint chart, but I just like seeing it on the day. I like seeing the volume profile delta by price throughout the day. I also have the session volume profile up. I see the split between volume profile for sellers and buyers. And then I also see the size of the bid and the ask. Do you guys want to see my Dom Pro really quick? I can change my screen to share the Dom Pro so you can see what I'm looking at on the Dom. It's just right next to my Bookmap. So I have on one screen, I have Bookmap and then the Dom Pro right beside it where I kind of line up price. I just want to see it really quick. So this is what I'm watching right next to the main Bookmap heat map. And you can see I'm watching volume profile delta. I like to see if there's any large delta that builds up at a specific price. I just cleared all this data a few minutes after the open. So it's kind of thinner. And then I have the session volume profile here where I can see where any large volume builds up or where there's any lower volume areas. And then I can see the volume profile by sellers and buyers by price here. And then I can see, the bid and the ask to see how thick or thin it is. Make sense? And really what I look for on here is I'm just looking for things that are an anomaly, like large volume, large orders building around a specific price, or if we get above or below a level, like a thinner volume area, things like that. Really can see the same thing on Bookmap, on the regular heat map, can see the same thing on footprint chart, but I just like having multiple ways of viewing the information. And sometimes one way or another way helps things stand out differently to me in how I'm reading it, how I'm analyzing it. Or it helps me over analyze one specific thing that I'm looking at on like maybe the heat map or the Bookmap heat map, or sorry, the footprint chart or the Bookmap heat map helps me avoid over analyzing one thing and look to see it multiple ways with multiple confluences. Peaked above this high again, back up into the 70s and rejected right back down again so far. And this is why, guys, I am telling you, since the market opened, I am being cautious in the middle of this range. We've just gone up and down between 72 and 60. So about a 10-point range here, just chopping up and down. A lot of sharp buying coming in right here. And in addition to size, what I also really look at, like we just saw, is really the speed and momentum of how price reacts at levels. It's not all about just the size of the orders at specific price, it's how it speeds up and slows down, which really just get a feel for over time. I've spent years watching this day in and day out, so I have a good feel that I can't really always explain in a very tangible way when people ask about what I'm reading, how I'm reading it at a certain level. And a lot of it is just a combination of the volume and the speed and how it's reacting and whether I see trapped participants at a level, which I just develop a feel for over time. So we got some offers sitting up here at 75s. This is what I was telling you guys. Above 70 was that key level that I was watching. And I'm just even looking over here at the 2-minute candle chart. It's just very blocky chop of price. Chop block. So continue to confirm my suspicion that I should stay out of this for now. Good questions though from you guys this morning, even though we're not taking any action, any trades, or I'm not. Hopefully you guys get something out of this. Again, I didn't say it this morning, but I always say, like, I'm just sharing this for entertainment and educational purposes. I don't recommend people try to copy my trades if I do take any trades today on the stream, because there's always delay in information. There's always, it's impossible for your long-term results to be mine. I still take losing trades and have losing weeks from time to time. And so unless you're really, like, it'd be impossible for you to copy all of my performance to make it your performance. So don't recommend trying to copy trades from anyone, anywhere. Just recommend learning on your own and figuring it out and figuring out what works for you. Do I do a lot with Carmine? Sounds kind of gay. I don't know what you mean. I'm in Trade, and I recommend that for I recommend that for everyone trying to learn. Do I work with him? No, not officially in any way. I talk to him, and I'm in Trade, and I recommend people that are looking for training to be in there, because I've been in there for years. A lot of buying coming in here. See if some news came out. There's a lot of buying coming in. Filling these offers up here at the 75s. I don't really see much coming out. Just a lot of buying came in here. Filled those offers. They did, in fact, fill. I'm seeing 697 lots up here. Actually, on Bookmap, I'm seeing this 747 order. So let's watch that. Right at that 60-75 key level that I talked about. Again, that was going to be my target for longs if I was able to spot a good opportunity to get in long on a pullback. I just haven't seen anything real significant, guys. We've just kind of been chopping in that range. We broke out there sharply, but I personally didn't see a lot to get in long down here. Saw this absorption and then this aggressive drop that did lack continuation here at the 60s. But other than that trend line, I don't really have much right there at that 60s, indicating that's super key. I wanted to see more of a drop. Saw more of a drop into the 60-50 to 60-40s, where I have that kind of key support demand area. Then I want to use that to get long, targeting these 75s. But honestly, guys, I might invalidate that setup now, because there was some minor news right there at 10 a.m. Okay. We've had that nice rally up here. And look at that. That offer filled. It's actually re-offered again. So let's watch this around 60-75. I don't really want to short it though. Like I said in the pre-market, kind of a top reversal here is just not a great ideal setup, but seeing a lot of orders get filled up there. that is the first area that I was looking to target with longs. So I wouldn't be surprised if we go back up there though to the 60s, 70s, just because the amount of volume that transacted up there. Large, almost 700 lots hit up there, and then 400 lots right below that. So if we'll back and hold, I actually wouldn't be surprised if we could hit that again. But took it long from 67 to 75. Nice little scalp, Marcus. Nice little scalp. Kind of holding these higher lows. Be interested if we get a sharp dip under this and lack continuation down here now. If we get a sharp drop under this trend line to kind of induce a lot of people getting short, stop out these, stop hunt these prior lows here, and then lack continuation, would be kind of interesting. Yeah, I'm just given the overall higher time frame context and everything, until structure shifts more and everything, I'm just I'm not really interested in shorts right here, to be honest with you. And it may go sell off from here, and if we do, then maybe I'll get a break and retest set up to the downside, or just sit out of that. What's everybody else watching? You guys looking for longs or shorts? Let's throw a poll up here. It's pretty 50-50, relatively 50-50. A little bit more people are looking to get long. And looking at the cumulative delta on the day, slightly long leaning. There's 90,000 aggressive buyers, 89,000 long shorts. Yeah, not gambling long or short here. We're just not at a key area for me. Kind of just in the middle, kind of choppy up and down. I want to find a way to get long, but it's a little tough here. We are continuing to hold these higher lows here. Isn't this interesting, huh? This little trend line that I drew on Bookmap, you can see here. Yeah, I just want to wait for a more clear setup. I agree. If it continues to chop like this for the next like 30 minutes, then I'm probably just going to walk away and save my brain cells for another day. Now the pull is starting to lean more heavily long. It's interesting. So yeah, with FOMC rate decision coming up tomorrow, like I said, since the pre-market, I'm definitely not looking to watch this into the afternoon. I'm just gonna probably walk away early if a setup does not present itself. And the setup for me, it's got to be, it doesn't necessarily have to be a fully predetermined plan. I can come up with plans and setups, but like key area, key confirmations, and a risk reward that makes sense. And ideally, not going against the trend. Blair, you were looking to take a long on retest of previous high of day to target 60.82. What was the previous high a day that you're talking about? Are you talking about you're going to long a breakout of the highs? Yeah, in this kind of action, I don't want to be initiating anything at the highs, long or short, really. If I had to look for something, I'd probably look for one of these quick pullbacks to get in long on after a breakout. Okay. I mean, yeah, buyers are clearly in control here. All these quick pullbacks are making higher lows and we continuing to drive higher now above these 75s. So we'll see if we can now get out of this strongly and pull back. Then yeah, that might be something I'm interested in as well. And I'd probably be looking to hit on a long up here. I'd probably be looking to target around 90, 60, 90. Jeff is only looking to long over Friday's highs. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like we saw from my pre-market analysis on the higher time frames, every drop has been quickly bought. So not really looking to go against that. But ideally get in on a pullback and not initiating along at the highs. Yeah, starting to see some buying strength come in here. Saw a lot of absorption at the 75s that rejected a couple times, 70 to 75. And now we're kind of getting some strength kind of above it. So I would say from 67 to 74, this whole area now I'm kind of watching. If we show some strength above, nice pullback, and see a lot of buying support this now. See if we, now that we're showing strength up here, let's see if we get any nice quick pullbacks to get in on. Probably target 60.90 to, if we get some real strength, 60.90 to 6100. May just shoot up without any pullback to get in on. Yeah, if we hold a nice quick pullback into this range here that I'm highlighting around 75 to 67, then I may be open to taking that long and targeting 60.90. If we get a pullback and if I see good confirmations. And it may just shoot higher now. So we kind of, just zooming out, we kind of had this consolidation here off the open, and now we're kind of breaking out above it with some strong buying. So now if I see a weaker pullback and I see it get defended, then I'll look to take it, but I would want to see the top of this consolidation range hold, which is where I've got this box drawn. I'd like to see just like a quick impulsive drop on thinner volume get bought with a passive buyer and or aggressive buying. If we get like a impulsive drop down here, especially around 75 to 70, where we saw that large buying, 75 to 70, there's a lot of large buying there. So if we get a quick little impulsive pullback that holds in there, and we see that large buying stepping in again, then that would be a nice setup to take long. Just I don't really feel comfortable initiating up here just from a risk versus reward scenario. So if I'm targeting like 90, it's like 13 points up from here. And really, if I risked up here, my risk would have to be like down under 70 probably. So I'd be risking like 7 points to make like maybe 13 points. So it's like almost 2R, but not really ideal for me. But if we get a little quick impulse pullback and I get good confirmations, then I'll take a stab at it. My goodness. Up. Some bids appearing here. Let's see if these get filled. Not quite taking it here. I mean, could. I just wanted to see a little bit more of a drop and see some of these bids get filled. Some news came out. Air raid sirens. More missiles launched from Iran towards Israel. What else is new? Honestly, news reaction has not been so significant from the Iran and Israel stuff as I thought it might be. I might have missed it here, guys, because we dropped right here, like just to the top of that box, and we did bounce. I didn't take it. I was just looking for this to drop a hair more and see these bids like get filled. I just didn't see anything quite significant enough that made me quick click buy. That's interesting. 500 lot negative delta popped up there. That's interesting. That could be passive buyer absorbing people that want to sell up here. Let's see what happens. Yeah, this passive buyer here is interesting on this selling. If I would have seen this type of situation pop up down here, I probably would have got in long. But it's weird that that popped up on the bounce higher up here. It's just a little odd. It's super slow, guys. Honestly, super slow. Matt, just want to say the live streams are helping my confidence tremendously. Thank you. You're welcome. And thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. I'm glad it's helping you. Thank you guys, everyone, for being here. Helps me out a ton if you guys just like and share it, and helps reach more people. That's all I ask. Appreciate everybody joining in. Let's see, how do I do this? Man, it's just not a lot of good momentum on this breakout. It's just slow, man. But it's been pretty slow lately, so nice, quick, good move, and then it just goes slow right after. So it's hard to like, unless you're in the consolidation waiting for the quick move, like trying to get in after the quick move, it just goes so slow and dead. Summer price action, I guess. Took longs at 75, but exit when we saw that large negative delta. Could be a passive buyer. Don't know. Yeah, it's kind of, don't know. Yeah, I'd still be looking if we move down towards 72. I was looking for a little bit, like when this drop here, I had my finger on the buy button and I just did not click it because I just didn't see anything real significant here. It did bounce from here, but I saw these bids popping up and I wanted to see if it dropped a little bit more, and we saw some larger bids hitting it and we just didn't. And so maybe it kept me out of it because now we're dropping back down. It's come over and some bids pop up here. I think it's hard for me to get in just because of how like slow and grindy it is right now. It's just do I consider the VIX before I enter a trade? Not as like a confirmation. I do look at the VIX as far as just kind of higher time frame confirmation analysis, and I haven't really covered that in a lot of my analysis, but VIX got really elevated last Thursday after like the news started breaking out into Friday, but it made a lower high Friday and it's kind of been dwindling down. It did bounce overnight and we're staying. I have a key level marked at 19.04 on VX futures. And we did bounce off that again. So important to see, but still kind of in the middle of the range on VX as well, the overnight range. And it's moving lower. So really for selling pressure to stay on after that drop and bounce last week, we would have want to see VX continue to stay elevated, like above 20, 21, 22. And it tested up there up to 22, almost 23, and then just immediately shot back down. So it's not really putting much pressure on ES. Obviously, if VX was more elevated, it would be putting more pressure on ES, and the top reversal setups would be more interesting to me. So we're still holding right here at the top of this range where I marked, but it's just so slow and I'm not really seeing anything significant that's making me click buy. So I might miss this rally up here. Yeah, there is some aggressive selling building here and not really much downside follow through. That is correct. So that is correct. And it is right here. It's just I think what's making me a little trigger shy right now, guys, is just how slow it is. And I'm finding it a little tough to read. We're also an hour in now, and we're still not, we broke out above that morning consolidation range and then just went kind of dead flat and sideways. So it's making me, as a quick scalping trader, these conditions are making me trigger shy because I'm just like, it's not looking great. It would have been a nice scalp. Obviously, hindsight is 2020, but I remember I had said with this amount of volume that we saw up here, I thought this would be retested. And so the drop back into here around the 60s would have been a nice long setup in hindsight. But at the time, I just didn't see anything real good. Just how we were transacting this much volume and then selling was lacking, and we transacted a lot of volume here. This would have been a nice long. I just didn't have a super key level to trade it. It was kind of in the middle of the range, and obviously it did work, and we bounced and took out those highs. But now after bouncing and taking those highs, again, kind of like this is the same pattern we saw yesterday on the whole day, where we had this nice pump off the open and then just kind of a slow sideways downward grind channel all day. Divergence with NQ. I haven't looked at NQ today. What's NQ doing? Kind of looks the same, to be honest. It looks like the same kind of thing going on. I mean, technically, could look for a long here and put the risk below 74, 73. You know, because bouncing right off the top of this box that I drew where this large buying was. I think that's making me trigger shy and hesitant is just how slow it is and just not really seeing any like significant orders coming in. It's just kind of grinding. And I watched that all day yesterday, and just any quick little momentum that came in just died out. And it's just like kind of the same thing. We had a quick little spout of buying here and then just kind of died out sideways, and just it's making me hesitant to get involved in these conditions, especially with FOMC tomorrow. So I may call it a day here soon, guys. It's just not great conditions, in my opinion. Does anybody have any questions that you'd like me to go over while we're watching this grass grow? How do you add TM Lite? Same place in the add-ons up here. You can't see it when I click, but click up here and there's the Trader Map Lite add-on, and that kind of gets rid of a lot of spoofing bracket orders. If I switch over here, you just see a lot more visual noise on the heat map, and it filters a lot of that junk out. I think you do need, I think that is another add-on. Yeah, then settings, configure add-ons. I think that is another thing that is probably under the Global Plus subscription. I'm not sure. I think what's going on here, guys, is just there's not really anybody in pain in the market right now. They're just kind of in the middle, kind of bounced up and down. Really need to see some volatile price action to get people off sides and trap. That's TM Lite is not Global Plus. Okay, so if it's just regular, that's cool. I think just There's not really much pain in the market right now. We've just been kind of grinding. No trades for me yet, Ricky. Just sitting out watching. Didn't really see anything to get involved. I was only really looking for the upside at this area, not really looking for downside, not really looking to short this, just given all the analysis and context I went over this morning. And then we had a couple quick bounces higher. I didn't find anything really significant to get in on it. I drew this box here, just kind of recapping for you that joined late, where I saw a lot of significant buying and we broke out above that. So the one thing that I was looking for is a nice pullback into this kind of green box that I drew here on Bookmap to get in long. We just started to test the top of it here. I just didn't like how slow and grindy it was and not really seeing any aggression from buyers coming in here. So I'm just sitting out of it. 4 break-even trades already this morning. Yeah, that's a lot, man. Be cautious. I mean, good on you for not taking losses and being defensive. A lot of building here. Yeah. I just wanted to see a little bit of a quicker drop down around 75, 71 area and see some activity on the tape from buyers to get in on it. So we're starting to drop down here. Let's watch this. Quick little drop. Some selling building here. So just watching. All right, so we're getting buying here. Let's see if we get one more little pullback into this. I wouldn't want to see 69 broken below now. See if we get a little pullback here. See some aggressive buying start coming in again. It's just so flipping slow. And not really any significant orders. Did kind of pop right down into here where this large buying was around 69. Watching it closely, guys. I want to get in on it. It's just, I'm kind of hesitant. I'm just not seeing really any significant orders. It's pretty slow. May need a further drop under this zone to really trap some sellers off sides. Negative delta building right at the low here at 16. And there is an earlier negative delta built up right at 68.75. And then again here at at 70. So 70 to 68.75, some negative delta building right there. It's not a great breakout and retest like momentum setup now though, just because buyers never really stepped in aggressively. We're dropping all the way back down here now to the middle of that choppy consolidation area. Like really, if you have a strong breakout and momentum, you want to see a pullback in here and see really aggressive buying coming in. And I was watching it to buy it, and I just never really saw any kind of large orders or aggressive buying coming in, and it's just kind of continued down. So it feels it's just slow and grinding and not really significant orders, significant participants here. So it just feels like at any second it could make a decently large move up or down. Like we're bouncing, but just kind of small buying. Speed of the tape is really slow. Not really anything significant. And we've cut down all the way to the bottom of this zone now that I was marking. So we may need to drop under here a bit, really trap some sellers offside, and then for a great long setup. Yeah, if we would have back in here and seen some large red bubbles that absorbed and then some aggressive green buying coming in. Uh-oh. Sorry, my Sierra chart just disconnected. My data just disconnected. Is my internet good? Am I still on the stream, guys? Rhythmic went out too. Do you guys still have me on the stream? Good. Okay. Yeah, my Sierra Denali data and my Rhythmic data just went out momentarily. So both of my bookmap, my footprint chart just disconnected briefly. That doesn't make me feel great. Still nothing really significant on the news end. Pretty slow and grindy. Here's some delta building here. Positive delta though. So that's weird. You know, really what I would have wanted, 959 lot positive delta here. That's interesting. What I would have been looking for first would have been a large negative delta building in here, showing you know, trapped sellers and passive buyer, and then positive delta building. We'll see how this reacts. You can see these large aggressive buying orders that popped up in here. So somebody might know something and they want to get in right now, or a passive seller might be hitting here. Let's see. Sellers are trying here, but let's see if we get a little pullback into this and see if it reacts again. We are right in that zone. We are right in that zone. This is interesting though. 460 lots, 465 lots. Iran sending missiles to Matt, but not. Come on, do something. So right around this, see this bid popping up again here. Let's they pulled. Let's watch this. This over again. Are we gonna get a little pullback into here? Just have a feeling getting involved in a trade today with how slow this is, it's just going to be a long wait for anything because it's just very slow sideways. I get a good feel for it when I just zoom out on my footprint chart and see it's just very flat and sideways, not a big range today. Sellers, I just would have kind of wanted to see the opposite, which was kind of an impulsive pullback into here and some large absorption and then aggressive buying. And we saw kind of just a grinding pullback into here. And now we're seeing a large positive delta building here, which is odd. Just see how it reacts. Yes, serious test of patience today. And I think this happened a lot last week during the live streams as well. Definitely getting into that summer price action of just a lot of slow grind. You get a couple quick moves. Hopefully you're positioned in it. You definitely just want to be defensive, protect your capital, know when to capitalize, and know when to sit out. Oh my goodness. News just came out 25 seconds ago. Iran intends to invite foreign diplomats to visit nuclear sites in an effort to prevent their bombing. Would anyone like to volunteer to come be our human shields? What the fuck? Would you like to come be a human meat shield for our nuclear sites? To make sure everybody signs a limited liability disclosure. If you turn into pink mist, don't sue us. I guess you can't. Free cookies in this cave. Gee, dude. All right, so there was a bit of that was some aggressive buying here. We've retested it. I didn't get in on it. It's bouncing. It's just too slow, guys. It's too slow. Can't get a good read on it. I mean, technically this might work out, and maybe it would have been good to kind of not have a scalping mentality. Look for a long in here with reduced size, wider stop loss, and just be looking to just be kind of positioned for a slow move up. But that's just not really how I trade a lot. If I can't capitalize on my scalping setups, I usually just walk away and come back another day. I usually look at this page on X called First Squawk. Drop it in the chat here. And they just quickly post financial related news events. All right, guys. Well, not a ton of action today. Important to know when to stay out and when to save your capital for better opportunities to risk it on. What service you use to see all the news live? I don't have any other live news source. Typically that page on X, First Squawk, is posting like news events and stuff before they pop up in like mainstream news channels and stuff. Sellers are trying hard. Yeah, I mean, we're just really stuck in the middle of this overnight range. So the best setup was targeting the 75s. And unfortunately, we kind of shot straight up there off the open, didn't get a pullback to really get in it. So like we kind of shot up here into the 70s. Like see this pre-market lows, we were close to where we were so close right here at 9:15 a.m. I was hoping, we were going to dip a little bit more into these key demand areas, or even just trade sideways and get a dip into this demand off the open. Where are we at here? So yeah, like right around here, 9:15 a.m. This is where I was like, okay, good. This is setting up nice. If we just trade sideways here, get a nice little drop off the open into those key demand areas, and then we can go up and target those 75s. And unfortunately, we just kind of shot up there off the open, and we did get these little these little dumps, but I just didn't see anything great to take it after we had already tested these. Would have been a better setup if we traded down here, dipped, and then bounced up to the 75s. Just nothing significant now, guys, on my end. Kind of a continuation of the very choppy grind that we saw yesterday all afternoon. We had a nice rally yesterday morning until like 10:30 a.m. on the dot, and then just a choppy grind lower all day. I don't really look at cumulative delta on the day, Richard. I look at cumulative delta by price at specific prices, but just cumulative delta on the day, not really. Is anybody trading anything else other than ES, just out of curiosity? Why is your box area no longer a level of interest to buy? It still is. This is still a level of interest. We're still holding in here. Technically, this is still a valid setup. It's so slow, and I'm not really seeing a lot of significance in here other than this. We saw this large buying, but really for my setups, I would have liked to see a pullback into here with a lot of aggressive selling that trapped sellers to bounce off of. We dropped in here and saw a lot of aggressive buying, which I was like, that's odd. It's not odd, but it's not it's not A+ for what I was looking for. I would have liked to see a drop in here, a lot of aggressive selling, get people off sides. But did not get that. And just not really seeing a lot of interest from buyers to be aggressive. So this type of setup where we see this consolidation at the high, off the open, breakout, this is a setup that I like to have when there's a lot of momentum in the market. When there's a lot of volatility and momentum in the first hour, I'm looking to get on a break and retest kind of long setup, maybe target all this orange and red on the heat map up here, this liquidity. But we had that a little bit initially once we got above the 75s, and now we're just kind of slowly grinding back, and not a lot of volatility, not a lot of momentum. Tape is very slow. So for that kind of setup, the conditions don't look great to me. So I'm just sitting back, staying patient. If we would have dropped, instead of grinding slowly into here, if we would have had a quick impulsive drop and a lot of aggressive absorption and a lot of aggressive buying hitting it on the tape, I would have been looking to long that. As we bleed lower here, if we kind of all the way down and take this out and I see some significant, and we recapture back in the range, maybe I'll look to take that long as kind of more of a low of day fake out on the regular trading hours. But just, I marked out the setup. I'm just seeing the confirmations and the price action market content that I like to see for it, that kind of a setup. Yeah, so a big red bubble and no continuation followed by, green bubbles buying. Yeah, that type of thing. And it's just kind of grinding down slowly. So it's just not really the conditions for that kind of momentum setup, breakout setup. Just a grind. And also keep in mind, we're right in the middle of the overnight range, grinding sideways. So for that kind of momentum setup, I would have been speculating that we were going to hold the lows of the range that developed, and we were going to go take out the highs. And that's why I was saying I'm targeting the 90s. If you look at a chart, I would have been targeting yesterday's close that we sold off from. So that would have been kind of like a momentum setup. There's a lot of aggressive buying coming in. We broke out the pre-market highs. So that's why I was saying, like, okay, if there's absorption and aggressive buying here, we hold this for some momentum and go take out yesterday's close where the market sold off from last night into the 90s. Great. But since we just got this slow grind down, not really anything significant from buyers, not really trapping any sellers, momentum just died out, and we're just kind of grinding back down. That's where I'm like, just sit out. It's not the conditions for that type of setup that I was looking for initially. So here, now we're seeing this interesting. It's not too significant, but on the footprint chart, I'm seeing almost 500 lots there, 489 negative delta at 67. So these bids got here. We came back again right at the bottom of that I marked. See if we get a little pullback that holds here and see if buyers start to show some aggression. But so far, every time a quick little bit of aggression come in, it's just quickly been smothered and just gone sideways again. And it's 11 a.m. now. 55 B shape holding, says Maddie. Yes, that is true. Where that aggressive buying was. And now we dipped right into the low of that. We're at 67, where this larger order hit. Let's kind of zoom out here. Even zooming out, it looks like a pretty choppy mess here on Bookmap. Pretty choppy mess. Trust me, I want to take a trade and get into something as bad as anybody, but just got to look for the conditions and the opportunity that makes sense. Otherwise, I'm just not going to do anything. And I'm very, very close to just calling it a day. I didn't want to watch this all day again, especially if this first hour is very choppy like this. Volatility is low. It's 11 a.m. now, so I'm very close to calling it here. But giving it a second to see what happens. Remember, it's a holiday short week. We got FOMC rate decision tomorrow. So Maddie says, yeah, I'm walking. Yeah. Today, the move might just be stay in cash. I did like this pop-up right here. I did like this right at the bottom of this range. These bids filled. We came back. We saw a large passive buyer hit this, large negative delta, and then it bounced from there. So a passive buyer and then aggressive buying start to come in. I did like that. That was probably like the best thing I saw today so far. So, and we're starting to see some aggressive buying come in. I don't know if we'll get a retest down here, but we'll see if we get a little pullback into here. Now some large positive delta pop up here. 600 lots over now, over 600 lots. Around 73 coming in. Tight range, mixed signals. Exactly what we were talking about a few minutes ago. Yeah, I don't have VWAP pulled up. I can pull up VWAP and see where that's at. Do I? So that was right there, right at the bottom of that box. I didn't jump in on it instantly, and now we're seeing some larger buying coming in. But 762 lots positive delta now at 73.25. But the thing is just how we saw this large negative delta. We popped up here. Now we're seeing this large positive delta building, and price isn't moving higher on that yet. So if I was paying more attention and not talking, seeing these bids get filled here right at the bottom of that range, then seeing this passive buyer, this is a spot where I could have possibly got in long around 68, 69 right here and put a stop loss under 67. That would have been a good entry. And I might have missed it. Now we're back up at 75. Yeah, seeing these bids get filled here at the bottom of this zone, then this large negative delta here, which was a passive buyer, we bounced and pulled back, held right here at 68. So getting in around 68, 69 would have been nice with a stop loss under 67. It was very slow though. It was very slow. And I have a tough time with this being just so slow and just grinding. But we're getting a nice pump off that now. That was the best setup of the day right there, and I did not get in on it. But that is exactly the kind of thing that I said I was looking up here. If we had a nice sharp pullback into this range up here, I was looking for something like that. And we came all the way to the bottom of this box, and then we saw it, and I didn't get in on it. So it is what it is. Just very slow. Very slow. Maddie took it right at 68. Nice. Very good entry. That's the best setup of the day right there so far. Maddie caught it at 68. If I got in here, I probably would have looked to get in around 68, 69. Stop loss probably under 67. And yeah, now that we've kind of gotten over this box, this key area now, I would have definitely moved my stop loss to break even as well. Nice. A few people caught that at 69, 68. So I did not catch it. That was definitely the setup of the day so far. the absorbed sellers indicate that there was a lot of aggressive sellers down here at the low that were trying to move price lower, and there were passive buyers buying these aggressive sellers. And once there was nobody left to aggressive selling, we see the selling get weaker, and then there's nobody left to sell, and so buyer move price higher. And so everybody that sold along this move now is probably going to be stopping out, and to stop out of their positions, they're going to have to buy, which makes even more buyers. So this thing just squeezes back higher again. So dang it. That was the setup right there. That was the setup. But even with this, this is probably the most aggressive buying coming in since the market first opened at 9:30, and still not really moving super fast. It's pretty grindy. And this is probably the most aggressive move so far. Now we're starting to accelerate. Yeah, great trade there from the 68s. Any entry, the 67 to 69s on that. Great entry. Great setup. See if we get any kind of pullback, get in on it. Now that we took this out and broke back above these 75s, you can look for the same thing we were looking for over here, which was to pull back into these buyers to see if they continue to reload. But this is just a straight, like there was no, like once the absorption hit and buying started coming in, there really was no pullback. It's just straight up squeeze. Yeah, this could be a target just given the overall conditions. The high a day, all these resting orders up here would be a good spot to gauge. If I got in down, I would, at a minimum, I'd be scaling out probably half up here on these 75s to 80s. A lot of bids popping up here around 71, 72. Definitely the best setup of the day right there. Got a nice bounce. It dropped all the way down to the bottom, like right at the bottom of this box that I marked watch. We saw that passive buying stepping in there. I should have taken that if I wasn't talking and being a bit distracted. And then also once it started to bounce, it was really slow. And I was saying, okay, let's see if we start to see the tape speed up, and it just didn't really speed up, and it just kind of grinded straight up. Out at the 80s. Nice trade, Maddie. That was the setup for sure. Wish I was there with you, but it's all good. It's all good. It's the best setup of the day right there so far. And it just went straight there with like, it didn't give you anything to sweat about. It just grinded straight up there. Unfortunately, if you didn't get in right there at the bottom, there was just no volatility up and down to get in on anything. It just straight up there hit, and now pulling back a little bit. Let's see. Took out the high a day, regular trading hours high a day, and now we're dropping back down almost as fast as we went up there. Whoa, look at that. I don't like how we're just peaking the highs and dropping straight back down. Like, I do like an impulsive drop into a key area, but given the context now that we're double topping above those 75s and just really aggressively, quickly dropping back down, it's just, let's see. So this bid did get filled here at 72.25, looks like. And then there's another one popping up here at 72. I think at this point, it might be a better move to get in with small size, more positioned for the move and target, more of like yesterday's highs around 6,100 if we can break out to the upside. But I don't know. I just don't know that that's a good game plan on today, going into the afternoon now with FOMC rate decision looming tomorrow. It's not really the conditions to bet on a trending move, in my opinion. Just seems like every time we get a decent move, just instantly lack continuation. We got a decent pullback down to the downside. Then as soon as a volatility picks up a little bit and we get a quick move, it dies out again and just kind of sticks around in the middle. So 2 hours now, and we've traded basically in like a 20-point range, right in the middle of the overnight range. Yet overnight we sold off. We had about a 50-point move lower since yesterday's close. And now in the first 2 hours of the regular trading hours, we've traded in a 20-point range right in the middle of the overnight range. So contextually, probably time to call it a day and just take no trades today, come back another day. Anybody have any questions, anything you want me to answer, go over, trading related, before we just wrap this up? How do you analyze delta by price that has already been printed when you see the large outliers when price comes back into those levels? What is that? Well, perfect example would have been this trading setup here. When we saw this large negative delta, we pulled back into this key zone. Right at the bottom of this, we saw this large negative delta here, which was aggressive sellers, aka got filled by passive buyers, and then price bounced up. We pulled back into that with weaker selling. That was the A plus trade of the day. Did not catch it on my end. Maddie and a couple other people in here caught it. Great trade. And then target those highs, which we got. But we've pretty much filled these offers at the high of day, instantly rejected, back down pretty sharply. And so still nothing super significant. A lot of selling coming in here now. So just kind of very much middle of the range consolidation, take out the highs, fail, drop back down, take out the lows, fail. Just you can play that and you can catch, I do like balance ranges and faking and fake out setups, the highs and the lows, but volatility is just pretty low, pretty dead right now. Like I said, we're right in the middle of the range. We had a 50-point move down yesterday, and now we're just consolidating in the regular trading hours. Typically the most volatile and best scalping time of the day, and we're just having a very tight 20-point consolidation that's also right in the middle of the overnight range. So time to go do something else with my day. Notice using footprint charts less for entries. You say solely using Bookmap for entries. I look at both. No, I'm just sharing my screen on Bookmap, but I look at both. Make sure you like the stream. Yeah, I appreciate you guys like and share. Hopefully, even though I didn't take any trades, I know some of you guys did. Hopefully you followed your system, but hopefully just walking through the analysis is beneficial and helpful for you guys. And if nothing else, just know when to not take a trade and just preserve your capital for better conditions. Especially just, you got to know like what conditions and setups align with how you trade, and then avoid things that are not that. Just avoid things that are not that and preserve your capital. You're going to have a hard time being a profitable trader if you're blowing up capital on unnecessary conditions that are not great for your trade setups. So if you can just preserve capital during conditions that are not great for how you trade, and then you're ready to capitalize when conditions are good, and you're not constantly fighting that battle of blowing up capital for no reason and then making a bit of money and just going up and down. Make money when the conditions are good. Sit out and preserve capital when the conditions are not good for how you trade. I say for how you trade because good and bad is totally relative to the individual trader and the setups that they have and they like. So for someone else that trades differently than I do, maybe this is fantastic and they're making a lot of money on this. For me, I'm just not seeing the setups that I really like. We're right in the middle of a balance range.
and just consolidating. And just for how I trade, the setups that I like, this is not ideal. We also have higher impact news looming tomorrow with the FOMC rate decision, followed by a holiday, followed by Friday, where contract expiration day. So just a lot of pending stuff coming up in the market, and we're just consolidating in the middle. So for me, it's a good time to sit out. I'll probably just set alerts. And if something happens today where some volatility picks up, then maybe I'll come back to my desk, but I'll probably step away for now, set some alerts, and go do something else. Like yesterday, the short 4 hours to play out, I have a hard time to really tell myself when conditions are good or not. Yeah, if you can really clearly identify what works for you and what setups you like and the conditions, then that can help you just by process of elimination, just avoid things that are not that. Just avoid things that are not that. All right, guys. Thank you for everyone that joined. Like and share if you found this helpful. Hopefully, still got something out of this today. Analysis, learning, and just, kind of reading the conditions, reading the context and the markings like that. Thanks, everybody, and peace out. I'll see you guys in the next one. Not sure when I'll do the next stream. Kind of have an interesting week this week. So possibly the next stream will be Monday. And we'll see. I might do another week like last week where I stream every day. So maybe next week or the week after, we'll see. But I will continue to at least do the streams once or twice a week, and then maybe from time to time again, like next week or the following week, we'll see. I'll maybe do streams every day again. All right, thanks everybody for joining, and see you next time. If I take any trades, I'll probably post recaps for you guys on Instagram. So if you're just on YouTube and you're not following on my Instagram, I post a lot of updates throughout the day on my story on Instagram, and I'll usually post always, but a lot of times I'll post reels on my trade recaps if I take any trades that I think are like worth sharing to educate. So peace out to everybody for joining. See you guys.